Welcome to today's episode of What the Phygital, the podcast that explores the world of Phygital experiences and how they transform the way we interact with digital technology. I'm excited to be joined by Simon Januskis, CEO of Basketballverse.
Hi, hello everyone. Really pleasure to be here. Great to see you, John, and I'm really looking forward to this podcast.
Awesome. So I'm just going to ask you straight away to give us a little bit about yourself and the Basketballverse.
100%, let's do it. So I'm the CEO and the founder of Basketballverse, and it's not such a coincidence that I'm the one who building such project because I'm a former basketball player myself. However, once I finished my career, I shifted my focus towards tech, so now I'm counting my 8th year in the tech space. I have a software engineering and business administration backgrounds. I had a chance to work in such companies as Unity, which is the game creation engine, as well as this crypto exchange called N-Exchange, where I was leading the operations. So that was my experience before I started to work on the Basketballverse. And now in terms of the Basketballverse, we are building this project for already 1.5 years, almost a bit less than that, but we're getting there. And Basketballverse is in short, it's a real-time online multiplayer basketball video game with a variety of different plays with a variety of different ways to play and enjoy this game. So I said it's a video game, but our aim is actually not just building a video game, but it's building a whole ecosystem around this video game, where any basketball lover or any basketball culture fan could come and enjoy. So I believe we'll go deeper into various aspects of it throughout this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I think you pretty much answered my first question. How did your basketball days inspire you to create Basketballverse, and what parts of your own journey have you brought into the game?
It is true that it's a big part of the reason why Basketballverse became what it is today. But maybe a few things important to mention is that I am from this country, from a pretty small country called Lithuania. And for anyone who knows at least a little bit of basketball, they probably have heard of this country, because here basketball is called as a second religion. It's literally everywhere. I mean, from the early days, you can see that on TV, or you can see basketball courts on probably literally every city around the country, whether that's a small or big, whether that's indoors or the outdoors. I could bet a pretty big amount of money that we are probably the biggest, as a country, we have the biggest amount of basketball courts in the country. And it was like every kid here from the very early days was playing basketball, and I was simply no different. It's just so that at one day it become a bit more than just a passion for me. When I was 16 years old, I was recruited to this basketball team called Žalgiris youth team. Their main team is currently actually competing in the EuroLeague playoffs. So I was playing for the youth team. And obviously, it was a pretty big experience for me, coming from this pretty small town in Lithuania, moving to the second largest city of Lithuania, and getting away from friends, changing the school. The whole environment is different, So it definitely contributed a lot to who I am today. But and I'm only grateful for that experience, because I actually had a chance to play with a good proportion of the guys who are currently representing the national basketball team of Lithuania. So that's where I started, to put my toes from more of a professional point of view with basketball. But when I was 18, I got a scholarship to the high school from Houston, Texas, in the United States. So I had a chance to move from now this little country, Lithuania, to this huge country, United States, which brought even more challenges and experiences, such as being in a country with a totally different language. Our team was very multicultural. We had players from Serbia, Africa, United States, Japan, China, and etc. So it was also a very, very interesting experience. So Yeah, then one thing led to another, and I figured that actually I'll just put basketball on the side, even though it contributed a lot to my early days and it's still a big part of my life. But now I'm putting that on the side and focusing totally on focusing on studies and putting all my focus into the business world. So as mentioned, that's why I'm counting already my 8th year. But basketball is still a very big part of who I am today.
So mixing basketball, NFTs, metaverse gaming, how did that all come together? You mentioned before that you worked a little bit in the blockchain and crypto scene.
Right.
So how did that all come together?
Yeah, 100%. So as you were saying, I was close to the industry, and I was just watching and observing what's happening there. So we were seeing the NFT projects such as NBA Top Shot. We were seeing the Web3 games such as Axie. We were seeing fan tokens. We were seeing metaverses. Everything, a little bit of everything. And I just figured, why do we not bring all this together? And sports game is actually a perfect way of having a good result of all those mixed ingredients. Where you can have not only the game itself, but you can build the whole ecosystem and brand around it. So this was mainly the reason, just being close to the industry, observing what's happening, and being someone from the gaming and basketball background. The idea just clicked very naturally.
That's pretty cool. So can you break down how does it work when you create your own NFT basketball avatar, and like how does it work with skills, and do you train the player? Do you go to the gym? How does it work?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's important to mention probably that the game gonna be offering not only played as a basketball player, but you'll be able to have a basketball club. You'll be able to have become a basketball arena owner, and et cetera, et cetera. So a big range of ways to enjoy the ecosystem. Now, if we would focus on basketball player point of view and gameplay. So yeah, everything starts with you acquiring the basketball NFT avatar. Now, obviously, you'll have a free version of the game, which we don't want to limit anyone to enjoy the ecosystem, especially from the financial point of view. So you'll have a free version of the game, but in order to maximize your experience, yes, you'll have to acquire the NFT avatar, which is also not necessarily going to be sold, for money. You'll be able to get it through various competitions, etc. But these are the details that will be presented to the community, further down the line. So once you have the basketball NFT avatar, that's where all the fun begins. You simply are, by participating in the ecosystem, you are increasing your experience points by experience points bad. Let's put it that way. And that comes to playing the games, whether that's a basketball tournament, whether that's participating in basketball league, or just a simple pickup game with your friends. Not only that, you'll be able to get those points also by achieving various milestones, such as scoring 5 3-point shots in a row, successful 3-point shots, becoming the MVP of the game, becoming the MVP of the season, and et cetera, et cetera. So by collecting those experience points, you then have a chance to go ahead and choose where do you want to allocate those points. When I'm saying where to allocate, I mean to which skills you want to allocate those experience points. And based on that, this is how your skill is going to grow. However, it's important to mention that not every skill actually going to be growing the same way or at the same speed, because we want to bring in this flavor into the game that reflects the reality of the real world, and top it off, with all the capabilities that we have in the digital world. So what I mean by that is every player in Basketballverse will have a potential score attached to it. So what does that mean exactly? I'll probably give you a real world example. So not everyone can become such great players as Michael Jordan or LeBron James. No matter how much work they put in, because that's purely attached to the talent of the player. So it's totally the same here in Basketballverse. Every basketball player going to have a potential score, which will determine how fast the player's skills are growing, which skills are growing faster, which skills are growing slower, and et cetera, and et cetera. And that's how we will be able to have a balanced competition across the board. Yeah.
Okay. So like a skill tree sort of thing that the more you play, you can allocate those points and you become better, right? As
Exactly.
a personalized player.
Exactly. This is. I mean, for anyone who's into sports gaming, such as FIFA, NBA games, etc., it's a pretty standard procedure. This is how usually these things happen. So we're not reinventing the wheel here and going towards the same path.
Got it. Okay, so what I find pretty cool is that you're teaming up with this like NBA players. How does that work, and what can people expect playing the game from that?
Right. So this is actually one of the uniqueness of our project. That's no doubt. And so I'll walk you through in a very simple steps how does that work. So once we partner up with the real world basketball player, what we do is we analyze his real world basketball game. We identify what he's good at, what are his signature moves, so to say. Then what we do is we recreate those same moves in the Basketballverse environment. However, we make it a bit more physically, let's say, enhanced. So it's going to be, if we're talking about the dunk, it's not going to be just a simple dunk. It's going to be the dunk over the top, of the basket. If we're talking about the blocking, cool. The guy going to jump really high to do that block. If we're talking about the crossover, it also comes to various effects. Those signature moves that we create in a Basketballverse environment, we then mount them in a form of NFT. So players that are playing, within the Basketballverse ecosystem, they can acquire those signature move NFTs. Then when they are going into the games, they can choose, which signature moves they want to use within that game, and it's going to be a limited amount, just to create the fairness and the balance of the game. You can use those signature moves in order to gain the advantage against his opponent when the game happens. So this is our way of going with it.
Cool. I think that sounds really interesting. I guess it creates this strategy thinking, right? I'm gonna play these moves, and my opponents they got these moves, so I gotta adjust.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's all about strategy. You can have the player with less skills, let's say a not so skilled player, but if you have a good strategy in place, it definitely increases your chances of winning.
Cool. So, how does Basketballverse make the game fair for players of all backgrounds, matter the age, gender, location, and is it inclusive? And if it's inclusive, how is that important to the vision?
Sorry. So when it comes to age, gender, or location, I couldn't say that there's anything that limits anyone in order to engage with the product and enjoy what it has to offer. But probably a few comments I could say is about the location. So it's obviously, you as a game developer need to be aware and keep in mind that there are certain countries in the world that has either a better or worse internet connection, has more or less opportunities for a good gaming computer, So we, as the ones who are developing the game, definitely need to be aware of that from the day one when we are developing the game. If you want to maximize the amount of people who have a chance to enjoy the game, So I can only guarantee you that this is a big focus from the very day one on our end. But on top of that, it's also really important to have an attractive and easy onboarding process, so there will be no barrier for the people to start enjoying the ecosystem, whether they are from the Web 2 or from the Web 3 space. already mentioning that we are taking down the barrier of the necessity of paying a high fees for the NFTs, so you could start playing the game, because we definitely don't want that to be a limiting factor in order to grow the user base as much as possible. But at the end of the day, it all comes down, I believe, to whether the game is fun to play or it's not so fun to play. And what unfortunately we've seen across the board of the Web3 space, it definitely are a lot of games that are not so fun to play. So we're totally aware of that, and from the day one, we said, hey, let's make sure that this game is, first of all, fun, and then let's see what Web3 has to offer in order to bring the experience even to the next level. So all these ingredients that I just mentioned are our core focus, and that's how we looking forward to capture the market as much as possible.
That sounds awesome. I think it also goes into this idea of just playing basketball with your friends, right? It's easy, just playing pickup. It's something that pretty much everyone can do. You can do it in your backyard. Maybe you need a basketball hoop, but it's not complicated in a way. So that it's nice that it comes down to your internet speed rather than a huge onboarding process. And I think I want to tap into, so we talked about the basketball player perspective. You also mentioned that you can be a club manager. What are your thoughts on that? Because for me, when I read that, I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this idea, stepping out of the arena even, or like stepping out of the player. It's okay, we're gonna manage the team arena. What are your thoughts, and how did that come up?
Right. So I'm happy to cover that, definitely. So as a creator of this project, I was, and as someone who is in the basketball, environment from the early days, I definitely saw, a lot of people starting from basketball players, ending with basketball club coaches, managers, GMs, et cetera, et cetera. And I figured that with all the capabilities that blockchain or Web3 space has to offer, we are really in a position to create a new and unique experiences, and the ability to manage your own basketball club is one of those. So to walk you through how does this gameplay look like in our environment, would be this. So you will have simply a chance to establish your basketball club. The recipe is very similar to the real world. It's only that it's easier. It's not that easy, to establish your basketball club in the real world. So happily, you'll be able to do that way easier here in the Web3 world. Now, as a basketball club manager, your main responsibility is to build the brand around the basketball club. The reason to do that is so the basketball players, those digital ballers, would want to come and play for your club. We'll have a system in place that will allow you to offer various incentives for the ballers, so they would want to come to play for your club. And those incentives could be various things, starting from getting a cut from the earnings from won matches or achieve milestones. Or if you, as a basketball club, have some sponsorship deals, that would also might, put you in a position to pay a monthly salary or something like that. But in order for all that to become possible, the key ingredient is to grow the brand of the basketball club. Again, that's something that I mentioned at the very beginning. And for you to do that, the way to do that is actually to build out your social media presence. We also have this very interesting aspect to figure out how else this could contribute to the game. So again, real world example. So when you have a basketball club playing at their home court arena, the players of the home court arena basketball club usually play better because they have a big fan base behind their back. They have a big support.
Yeah, they feel comfortable, right?
Yeah, the moral factor actually plays a big role. And this basketball club, Žalgiris, that I mentioned to you before, is actually experiencing record numbers in having the sold out, in the basketball arena. It's like 15,000 seats arena, and every EuroLeague game it's fully sold out, and that really highly contributes to their success of winning the games. So we're thinking, how we can create something similar in a digital world. And we figured out and came up with this concept that when we're going to have two basketball clubs playing one against each other, our algorithms are actually going to check which of those clubs has a bigger fan base or bigger social media following, and going to increase the skills of the ballers of that club with a bigger fan base by a very slightly bit, but enough to increase the chances of winning, So with this concept, we are incentivizing the basketball club managers to work on their marketing, work on their social media growth, which then can contribute to the success of them striking a sponsorship deals, because outside vendors might want, come and have their names associated with that basketball club. So let's put it away in the market of marketing, and that will also contribute to the chance of winning the games. So that's how the whole ecosystem works around it. So it's a pretty strategic and different kind of gameplay, than the baller, but there definitely is a certain amount of people, who enjoy this more than being directly on the court.
So do you have would you have like agents and stuff as well, or is everybody just is it more player to manager situation?
So our responsibility is to create a platform that allows the basketball club managers to unleash their creativity, and how they're going to attract those players, how they're going to attract those sponsored deals. That's going to be up to them. Our goal is, to create a platform that allows them to express themselves and express their creativity to get those deals done.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So then I guess the highest is the arena owners. How does that tie into the game then?
Yeah, so long story short, arena ownership is divided into 10,000 arena NFT tokens. And in order to become the owner of the arena or the co-owner, you have to own a certain amount of that arena NFT. Now, your earnings are going to be directly proportional to how many NFTs you own. And the income for the arena owners comes from such things as they're going to get a cut from every game that's going to happen in that arena, because every basketball match has to happen somewhere. So anything that's going to happen in the basketball arena, they're going to get a cut from it. But not only that, on top of that, every basketball arena or just basketball court going to be equipped with various advertising spaces where the outside vendors, like third-party brands, and companies will be able to come and place their ads within that basketball arena, and what kind of deals from the financial point of view are going to be arranged. That's up to the arena owners to get that. So, but it's important to mention probably that club manager and arena owner gaming concepts, both of these are more for the longer term vision. And the reason for it is because, those two gaming gameplays are going to be successful only if we're going to get the baller gameplay right. It all comes down to the core gameplay of it, and these social aspects is just, the additional flavor. So our main focus currently is the baller gameplay, and these two are more for the long-term vision.
Yeah, it almost feels like, I play this game with the basketball players, the ballers, and then I get an expansion, which like makes the game better, and then I get another expansion on top of that, and the game grows out of it, and there's more ways to play it. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Just a natural evolution, I would say.
Yeah. So what's next for Basketballverse then?
So currently our main focus is always on building the gameplay itself, but there are a few other important things to mention. So I'm not sure when this podcast is gonna be published, but very soon enough, we're gonna have a totally new brand identity, the visual brand identity. I really can't wait because it's going to be a totally different face of the whole project. We're going to have a new website, new logo, new colors, new everything. And I'm really excited about this because we've been working on this for so long, and the feedback so far was really great. So really can't wait to unleash this into the public. We also are polishing all of our NFT collections because we're going to have a big variety of those. Those are going to be the basketball players, wearables. In terms of wearables, every basketball player will be able to change the appearance of it, such as applying tattoos, changing the sneakers, applying the hats, and etc. etc. Just to make sure that people have the ability to express themselves the way they want.
Sweet.
So we're polishing all that, and yeah, and as mentioned, the gameplay itself, that's the main focus. And we are actually very close to the start of the onboarding of the beta testers. I cannot give out any names yet, but it's really close. So, I only can encourage you to go and subscribe to our email list by going to our website or just following us on Twitter, Discord, and Telegram.
Cool. So is the wearables, is that going to be Phygital, or is that going to be digital clothes, or is the plan to bring both worlds together?
So in terms of the Phygital, we are still actually in the discovery phase on this area. But what I can say is that we definitely are aware of the potential of it. At the end of the day, it all comes down the success of the project or of the brand. At the end of the day, it comes down to the end user experience for the brand, right? And the Phygital experience and what it has to offer is a really important part of it. And we are heavily exploring all the opportunities, around that end. So even though I cannot give out any concrete details on that, but it's definitely on our landscape.
Yeah, cool. I think the potential for sure is there. But like you're saying, with the strong community and fan base, obviously down the line, maybe you want to own everything that your avatar is wearing in the game in real life as well.
Exactly. And being as a basketball team project, I believe we are in a perfect way to offer a really big range of activities, and engagements around that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Cool. Do you think other sports are gonna try out this sort of approach, or is there any? I don't want to call it a bandwagon because I think this project makes it a little bit more unique by creating its own ecosystem with club manager, arena owners, and stuff. But do you think other sports are gonna follow suit, or?
To be honest with you, John, I don't think that it's only sports, but it's more of every project, every brand in the world. If they're not exploring, the Phygital, what the Phygital sphere can offer from the end user experience, they are missing out on being on the edge of the competition. So I really have no doubt that this is a key. Not a key, but one of the most important ingredients to the future success of any project.
Yeah, I think I would say something similar as well. I think you got to be follow the trends, and I think everything is moving in that direction. Fashion 100%. And gaming wise, it's all sort of blending together nowadays, and which is super exciting. And I think the more companies can create this immersive experience, the better.
100%. And the Web3 and blockchain is perfect ingredients, to bring it all to life and to the reality.
Definitely. So, do you have any advice for someone coming into the Basketballverse, or maybe some of the beta testers, who any hot tips, advice?
So probably advice would be in terms of Basketballverse. We are no different from. There's nothing unique only about basketball, but it's more about the whole industry itself. So anyone who would be, let's say, just starting in this industry, I would say don't take the NFTs and Web3 elements as something new or strange or scary or anything like that. This is a very natural evolution of the industry, which should be embraced. And as you can see, the majority of the biggest world companies are already stepping their toes into these waters. So, just from the logical point of view, it's just there definitely is something if that's happening. So, but in the meantime, our and our fellow Web3 projects' responsibility is just make sure that the onboarding process is as smooth as possible. And whether you are from Web2 space, from Web3 space, or from anywhere else in the world, no matter your gender, no matter your age, and etc. So all I would say is just let's embrace this new world of capabilities. And if you are just someone who wants to play basketball and have fun with your friends, just come to us and we'll take it from there.
I think that's awesome. That's a great pitch. All right, we're gonna move into this or that, which is our slide part of this podcast, where I'm gonna give you some not moral dilemmas, but push you a little bit, making some decisions on some harder topics, obviously relating back to basketball.
All right, exciting.
So I bring you into the first one. So dunk contest or 3-point shootout?
I would say it's a really difficult one to choose very easily. When you have a 3-point shot contest, have a way bigger tension on the line. When you have to make those shots, every second matters. And et cetera. But the dunk contest actually puts, I would say, a way better show for the audience, and I believe it attracts even more people, and even more viewers. I never saw the actual data on it, but if I had to choose, I would go with the dunk contest. I would watch dunk contest better than
it gotta feel better dunking it than I get the nervosity, like standing on the line, bouncing the ball a little bit, hitting it, but
Definitely.
All right, fair. Okay, classic basketball sneakers or the latest high-tech kicks?
I'd say it probably depends on the occasion. So the classic basketball sneakers, you can look at them from so many point of views. It's not only that you can just wear them, but you also can have them as a collectible.
Yeah.
And I think even just recently, Michael Jordan's sneakers were sold.
Also that,
Yeah, so I think they were sold like $2 million or something. Though that was the biggest amount of money paid for the pair of basketball sneakers. So I think the classic basketball sneakers has a big market, and when it comes to the latest high tech kicks, so I think what they can offer is the best technology and the best comfort when you are going and playing basketball, when you're just walking on the street, and etc. Yeah. So it's the actual user experience. So it's very hard to choose, but I still would go with the classic basketball sneakers.
Got it. Okay, so for our next slide, pick up games with friends or watching a live NBA game?
Even though the pickup games with friends is a really great thing, I would go for watching a live NBA game. Basically because the emotional boost that you get from being in the arena and having the ability to experience those very interesting moments. Maybe the word interesting is not that good, but those intense moments and etc. And the amount of emotions that you get throughout the game it's really hard to match. So I would go with watching a live NBA game.
Yeah, maybe an unfair combination perhaps, or comparison. But we spoke a little bit before this podcast that you start work very early in the morning. So early morning workout or late night gym session?
Definitely the early morning workout. I mean, later in the night, my batteries are already drowned. So I usually go sleep very early. I wake up very early. I like to work out in the midday usually. But there was a period in my life when I was working out in a very early. Then I would go, to the sauna. Then I would go to the ice bath, and that ritual would usually get me go throughout the whole day in a very high performing state of mind. So early morning workout always.
Got it. So, free time coaching a youth team basketball or playing a casual game with friends. Are we coaching or are we playing with friends?
So coaching a youth basketball team is such a big responsibility that I wouldn't feel ready to go for it just yet.
No.
So the casual game with friends is way more attractive option in this case for me.
That's fair. Okay, we're gonna get into the controversial one, or I guess perhaps controversial. 90s basketball era or modern game?
Well, that's a really tough one. If I had to choose just like from the top of my head, I would go with the 90s basketball era.
Mm-hmm.
Even though so few reasons behind that. So I really loved those golden ages of basketball and what was happening there, and having way less rules and restrictions that we have now made that whole era way more interesting, at least for me personally. I mean, there was those little rivalries on every game, MJ against Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley against Shaquille O'Neal, etc. So every game you're watching with this, almost from the point of view as watching a Netflix miniseries,
Mm-hmm.
However, I totally understand that this is something that cannot be published or let's say streamed for the very wide audience, because some people are watching into those basketball players as their idols, and those things just cannot be tolerated very easily. So that's why the modern era NBA do not have that anymore. I totally understand that, but I enjoyed watching 90s basketball way more than now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. I think there's a certain charm to this era also. Like, I feel like they were playing different, but they were superstars in a different way also.
That's true.
So basketball themed movie night or basketball video game marathon?
No doubt, basketball video game marathon, playing with your fellas, competing one against each other. That's something that I would go for every day and night compared to just basketball team movie night. That's great as well, but that other thing just is on another level.
I actually put Hustle in there because I actually really like that one. I'm not sure if you've seen that movie or not with Adam Sandler.
I can't really remember actually at the moment for some reason. Well,
I will recommend it otherwise for anybody listening. It's a pretty decent, at least if you're okay with Adam Sandler's acting, then that's a pretty funny movie.
We'll check that out.
All right, we got our courtside seats at an NBA game or an all-access pass to your favorite team's locker room.
Since I already had a chance to visit various teams' locker rooms, I mean, probably nothing much I can see there that would be new to me. So I would choose courtside seats at the NBA game.
Yeah, I get that. I guess the locker room situation is fun. Like if you get to meet the players, perhaps. Like if you get to have casual conversations and stuff.
No, definitely. But even if not that, I totally understand how it would be very interesting for the person who never had a chance to witness it, because those locker rooms are usually equipped with PlayStations, jacuzzis, gyms, saunas. Like, I mean, you can live there. So to say. I mean, it's really well equipped and well developed. So it definitely would be very interesting for a person who never had a chance to witness it.
That makes sense. All right, we're gonna finish up with 5 quick questions. Well, we'll try to keep it quick, but let's see. If you could play a game of basketball with any 3 players from any era, who would you choose and why?
So no doubt, I would love to play with MJ, Michael Jordan.
Uh-huh.
The second would be just to make the team better. I would come in with Shaquille O'Neal,
Yeah.
and the last guy I would bring in probably the superstar of the modern era, Luka Doncic. So I think
Yeah.
this trio would be a very nice combination of skill set
Yeah. I feel like that's a group of very interesting people also.
and personalities as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what's the most memorable basketball game you ever watched or played in?
Um, I'll probably go with the watched one, and I would go with this game that I'm not sure, if this will will be in the memories of a lot of people. But there was this just a regular season game against Cleveland Cavaliers and Denver Nuggets, where
Hmm.
the LeBron James was leading the Cavaliers and Carmelo Anthony was leading the Denver Nuggets. So the LeBron James being the first pick, I think, of the draft, and Carmelo Anthony being the third pick of the draft. Both of those guys had from the day one really high expectations on both of them,
Mm.
and there was this just a regular basketball NBA basketball season game where they were playing one against each other, and both of them scored over like 40 or 50 points, something like that. And when that game happened, I was still in my very early days. I was like probably just 12 years old, or maybe even
Uh-huh.
less than that. And it was a pretty tough, back in those days, it was like 15 years, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
It was pretty tough to watch those NBA games. First of all, because of the time difference. Second of all,
Mhm.
because no national television was streaming that. So I
Yeah.
was looking up across the whole internet on
Yeah.
ways, to get that and download the game. So I finally got it, and I just watched and rewatched that game multiple times when I was a kid. So it's really deep in my memory.
That's so cool. If you could give one piece of advice to aspiring basketball players, what would it be?
Um, there's no secret sauce for this. The only way for this is just, hard work, stay focused, stay consistent, and even more importantly, probably take the failures as lessons that can contribute to your growth. I mean,
Mm. Mm.
basketball is a really tough competition to be in, mainly because you have so many people wanting to become, basketball players. So
Yep.
your mental performance really plays a big role and contributes to your success. So yeah, hard work, stay consistent, and be tough.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't quite realize it, but all the trash talk that goes on in a basketball game.
That as well. That as well. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite basketball-related movie or documentary?
So when I was a kid, I was really loving movies such as White Man Can't Jump, Coach
Hmm.
Carter, a few other from that era. But my top one would probably be The Last Dance. This is
Oh
like, I
yeah.
think 3 years ago released movie, like a documentary about Michael Jordan's path. I really enjoyed watching that, and
Hmm.
watching the how to say uncoordinated stories, the real world stories. It was very interesting,
Mm.
especially being a fan of that era.
Yeah, of course, of course. So, outside of basketball, what's a hobby or interest you're passionate about that fans might not know?
Probably a surprising one would be that I practice Muay Thai 2 days
Ah,
a week. I found it being a very good way of staying in good shape, both physically and mentally. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, like basically 2 days a week, and I also enjoy the occasional wakeboarding or kiteboarding. So these
oh,
are my
wow.
two other passions outside of basketball.
That's cool. Yeah, I enjoy some Muay Thai as well. It's a good workout
It
for
really is.
sure.
It truly is. And again, it's from both physical and mental perspective. It really brings a lot to the table.
All right. So that was it from me today. I hope you enjoyed the questions. I for sure learned some more about Basketballverse and pretty hyped about this project taking off, and excited to see the new visuals for the game, the new logo and stuff. And
100%.
what's the best way to stay up to date with Basketballverse?
Yeah, so we are very active on our social channels. The top one would be the Twitter. Just look for Basketballverse on Twitter, follow it there, and we'll lead it from there. I mean, we have the Telegram, we have the Discord, and actually in Discord we have a lot of activities happening, such as right now, as you know, the NBA playoffs just started. So we have various activities planned around that, so people could enjoy, compete, win some rewards. So yeah, Twitter, Discord, Telegram, subscribe to our email through our website, and we'll make sure that you are up to date with everything.
Awesome. Great. So thank you so much, Simon, for being on the podcast.
Thank you, John. It was a really pleasure. And yeah, really enjoyed this one.